Our next segment will focus on providing examples of tools to use for summarizing. Cornell Notes are an excellent way to help students record their thoughts and also has a built-in summarizing process. Read along for a quick refresher on the Cornell note-taking system. This note-taking system has a built-in summarizing section at the bottom of the page. If students are trained, they will begin to default to summarizing at the end of every lesson with minimal to no prompting. But remember, to get them there, it will take lots of modeling and reinforcement. The next example is a graphic organizer called Somebody Wanted, but So Then. Students could build this graphic organizer on their own paper, or you could provide it for them. As students read, they would record the key words and phrases in the correct locations on the organizer. And then at the end of the lesson, they would combine those key words and phrases to form a summary sentence. But don't forget to model how to do this to help students be successful. The last example is a graphic organizer called Get the Gist. Students would determine the who, what, when, where, and how of the concept or chunk of text they are reading. Students would then use their notes to generate a 20-word summary called a gist. They could do this on their own paper, or you could provide them a graphic organizer to help them along. And as always, don't forget to model for the students. Please take a minute to read through the common mistakes that can be made when implementing summarizing strategies. Please take a minute to turn to page 25 and 26 in the text and read about the examples and non-examples. Discuss with your PLC how these differ. Pause the podcast so that you can engage in this discussion. Our next chunk will focus on the importance of monitoring for the desired outcome. In order to monitor for the desired outcome of the use of a summarizing strategy, it is really important for students to have multiple opportunities to work with partners to process their thinking. It is really important that the teacher walk around during this processing time and listen to what students are saying. If students are struggling, it is a great opportunity for teachers to question students to help them increase their understanding. But remember, don't provide the answers. Question students to help them to get to the right answer on their own. Students can write their summaries on an exit ticket and provide it to their teacher on the way out the door. The teacher can then read through those summaries and make notes about student progress and where reteaching or additional modeling may be required on the next day to help reinforce the critical content that should have been learned. Take a minute to look through the student proficiency scale for summarizing that Marzano has provided in the text. Pause the video and discuss this with your PLC. What are the possible implications of using this in measuring how students are recording and representing their knowledge in your classroom? The last segment focuses on the PLC questions. What will you do if some students have mastered the skill? And what will you do if some students have not mastered the skill? Remember, this is all about responding to learner needs. Take a minute to read through the recommendations for scaffolding for struggling learners. And don't forget about those learners who have already learned what you want them to learn. Please take a minute to read through how you can extend learning for those students. In summary, don't forget to teach and model how to summarize. Choose a strategy to help students summarize. Scaffold and extend to meet the needs of different learners. Chunk it out. And make sure that you monitor the process of summarizing to know when you need to reteach. Thank you for your participation today. We have some next steps to take. Work with your PLC to plan summarizing strategies to use with students. And don't forget to plan how you will teach and model the process. And then during the third week of this cycle, coordinate with Mrs. Leary or Mrs. Martanovic to be observed using a summarizing strategy. We will gladly provide you feedback and coaching if needed. And stay tuned for our next instructional cycle in October, note-taking. Thank you and have a great day.